I'm Corbett Wall with DV Auction, here with your feeder flash for Friday, October the 7th, brought to you in part by Noromycin by Norbrook. Noromycin 300 LA is an economical 300 milligram oxytetracycline that delivers the same amount of antibiotic as 200 milligram options in a lower volume dose. For more information, go to norbrook.com. Mississippi River, she's a going dry. How many more of these black swan events can our markets take? Now, actually, this could help cattle feeders, but yes, the Mississippi River is at historically low levels. A lot of the old timers that live in the area say they've never seen it this dry, and our barge rates now have gone up 50% compared to last year at the same time. It's unbelievable how a major thoroughfare like that we depend on for marketing and freight on our exports especially makes such a big difference, but the river just won't hold as many barges. Your freight now per ton is almost $50 per ton for hauling grain. The world needs this to fill gaps left by the war in Ukraine, and they were expecting us to do a lot of exporting of grain to help fill those needs there. But it's also fertilizer, goes on those barges too. And we're still kind of reeling a little bit from the gap that was left during the railroad strike threat. They've got labor issues going on with our barges and your river freight right there. But one barge hauls the same amount of grain as 16 rail cars or 70 trucks. So just take that into consideration. But your corn industry depends on barges to ship 65% of the export corn that we send out of this country, going down through New Orleans and then out that way. But this could actually help your cattle feeders. I mean, we hate to see this for our guys that are diversified, that are grain farmers, row crop guys there, but it's just one thing after another. But your grains were down significantly on Thursday and will continue to drop if we don't see something, and nothing's going to help this right away. So we can just see that, but gosh dang, your farmers are really going to be struggling with this. But that's one thing, and one of the very, very few things that can happen in this country, whether it's politics or weather or whatever it is, any kind of black swan thing that goes on that can actually help your cattle feeders. But grains aren't going to be able to take full advantage of this short crop that they're harvesting right now, and this is going on right during harvest. Couldn't be at a worse time ever. But you look to that eastern side, especially of your corn belt, they really depend on Mississippi River barge traffic to help get rid of that grain. But getting back on the cattle, every month we feature a sale barn, brick and mortar sale barn that's doing a good job for their customers, have been posting top quotes. And this month, your Zoetis market of the month is Fort Pierre Livestock in Fort Pierre, South Dakota. We haven't always been getting their quotes on Cattle Market Central, but we have here of late, and I've been featuring them quite a bit, and they're doing a really good job there in the central part of South Dakota. It's a major market there, and we're glad to be able to quote them and post their big prices that they quote all the time. So congratulations to Fort Pierre Livestock, Fort Pierre, South Dakota. Let's talk about your board on Thursday. October live cattle futures were up 65 cents, 145.32. Now they were just aligning themselves with cash, and I think that's one reason that we saw that just on the front month of October. You go on your back months and they were all down, unchanged to down, but December live cattle down a nickel at 147.87. Back months on live cattle, like I said, unchanged to down just 17 cents, but not gainers like your spot month of October. October feeder cattle down 82 cents at 175.72. November was down 90 right in the face of cheaper corn at 176.42. Your back months were mixed on feeder cattle, as down 22 cents to up 37. Your grains, like I said, they were down. I think a lot of it had to do with this Mississippi news there, but corn was down 8.5 cents on Thursday at 675.5 after just being up 1 or 2 pennies and down 1 or 2 pennies here for the last 10 sessions pretty much as we're going through your deepest part of the harvest. Beans were down 11 3/4 cents a bushel at 13.58. Fat cattle trade was higher and much more active on Thursday, but we still haven't done much business in the northern plains and in the Midwest. You know, last week we saw a big trade up there and hardly any trade in the southern plains. This week your southern plains was near normal as they gained $1, but the northern plains still kind of negotiating and trying to get a higher price, but just not doing much business. But there's going to be a lot more business done here on Friday, and I think it'll be higher even than the tops of our price ranges from last week, but we'll just have to see. Colorado's confidential. Of course, we don't get to see what goes on there because there's not enough activity negotiated wise. Iowa, 2,800 head confirmed on Thursday, just 13,400 so far for the week. So they're 15,000 plus light in Iowa compared to what they normally do. So we're going to see some more business on Friday in Iowa, and I hope they get a higher price. But live sales on Thursday towards the top of last week's price range from 145 to 147, and dress sales only at 230. Nebraska had 8,200 head, a few more with more business being done in western Nebraska as they got up some of those top quotes that are usually just reserved for your eastern Nebraska lots, but still less than 20,000 head sold in Nebraska so far this week. They've got more business to do, but live sales in Nebraska on Thursday ranged from 144 to 148, and 148 kind of a main price there, so that would have to be called higher, or at least on the firm side. Dress sales from 230 to 230.50. Kansas, 8,500 head sold on Thursday, 9,300 head for the week. That's getting close to normal for them. Usually they're up in the low teens, but much more closer to normal than the northern plains. But live sales in Kansas, 144. That's $1 higher than last week. Some dress trade at 227 in northern Kansas. Texas sold 7,300 head and 9,700 head for the week. That's getting close to normal for them. I know it's not a lot, but that's about all they do these days. But live sales in Texas from 144 and 144.5. Where did that 144.5 come from? The Fed Cattle Exchange. That's what happens whenever you get you know, some prices going back and forth. You get a little bit of competition working there. These packers are wanting the cattle. They get some cattle that they kind of desire, and they're tempted to go higher. And that 144.5 would be tops in the southern plain, done on the online auction there at Fed Cattle Exchange. Box beef cutout values were mixed. Choice was up 30 cents. 247.36, Select down 223, and Select has been very volatile lately. 216.99, still struggling with the grading both in the northern plains and the southern plains, especially that high choice and prime grading that the packers got so used to during the pandemic. Talk about your slaughter, and it is not calming down at all. They may cut Saturday completely out, but still a respectable slaughter for this week. 510,000 harvested up through Thursday. That's 3,000 more than last week, 26,000 more than the same week a year ago. Actual slaughter information came in for the week ending September the 24th. Showed our average dressed steer carcass weight at 915 pounds. That's 3 pounds less than the previous report. And more females again on that actual slaughter information. It's unbelievable that we are harvesting more females than we are males, but we continue to do it time and time again, especially over the last 2 or 3 months. And what that leads to is a smaller cow herd and fewer feeding cattle going down the line. Talk about what else is going on. We've got a cataloged horse sale at Lone Star Stockyards, Wildorado, Texas. That's just west of Amarillo, right on I-40 there. But they have been having some hellacious horse sales there. and you guys need to take notice of that. Those of you that are looking for using horses, they've got 275 head of those good using horses coming off ranches, feedlots, and wheat fields from Texas, New Mexico, Oklahoma, and Kansas, ridden by top hands, and it's getting to be a premier horse sale there. It's coming up this Saturday at 11 o'clock a.m. None of these horses have ever been offered to the public before. That sale is managed by Clay and Taylor Page. They're doing a good job and they're honest. If you're more information, go to LoneStarStockyards.com. Talk about your feeder cattle market, your real-time index on DV auction. Late in the day on Thursday, sitting at 172.58, down another $1.04. And our markets weren't that much cheaper than the markets we've seen earlier in the week, but last week we saw your markets kind of come up later in the week, and we didn't see them come up really this week. Now we did see some premier sales in the northern plains, and we're starting to see a bigger gap in what feeder cattle and especially calves are bringing in the northern plains, which I consider north of I-70 compared to the southern plains where it has been so dry, but still starting to get little chances of moisture in the Texas Panhandle, extreme western Oklahoma. It's going to go on through the weekend with cooler temperatures. Well, we hope we get some of that. Talk about your big sales on Thursday. Farmers and Ranchers Livestock in Salina, Kansas, 2,700 head there. Comparisons were light because they had a lighter run last week, but feeder steers $3 to $6 lower, feeder heifers $1 to $3 lower. Did have a stick out lot of heifers there, 71 head, 789 pound heifers bring $171. Winter livestock in Pratt, Kansas, 2,400 head there. Market was sharply lower, and that's because they had a really good sale for the way things are last week, and this week it was more typical like some of your other sales in the region there, but you still hate to see a market called sharply lower. Give you several individual quotes around the country here. Bluegrass Stockyard South, Stanford, Kentucky, sells 141 steers, weighs 700 pounds at $187. Mobridge Livestock in Mobridge, South Dakota, sells 82 steers, weigh 530 pounds at $229.50. You can't get anywhere near that in the Southern Plains, guys, even on the top quality cattle that may not be as good as those up in South Dakota, but still plenty good enough. Another market out east, Paris, Kentucky Stockyard sells 69 steers, weigh 844 at $175. Ogallala Livestock Auction Market in Ogallala, Nebraska, western Nebraska, sells 54 Pee-wee steer calves, weigh 340 at $261.50. Wow. How about your Zoetta stick-out sale of the day? It's Mitchell Livestock Marketing in Mitchell, South Dakota. Didn't have a big run, but some of the most impressive quotes that we've seen for quite a while here, just about 1,900 head of feeders there, was mostly yearlings and heavy on the yearling heifer side. But look at this automated market report from Cattle Market Central, and you see 213 head of 8-weight steers, average 855 at $181.91. That's about $2 better on your weighted average than last week. Look at your heifers, 423 head of 8-weight heifers, averaged 858 with a weighted average price of $169.21. It's about $6 higher than the last sale there on those same 8-weight heifers. 491 head of 9-weight heifers, averaged $932 with a weighted average price of $162, and that's about $4 higher than last week's market on those 9-weight heifers. But the best quote that I saw anywhere on Thursday, your Macrocin No BS top quote for the day, also come out of Mitchell Livestock Marketing. 59 head of steers, a load of them weigh 832 at $192. That'd be $20 higher than your real-time index based on an 800-pound steer up through the Midwest. And that's your feeder flash for Friday.